Hey, it's Ben here for some feisty chess. We'll play e4 on move 1 with white. We're playing against Trandism. We've got a French defense. Alright, it's been a while since we had the French on the channel. I like to go knight c3, mainline stuff. And we've got a Winawer. Okay. Probably c5 next. Oh, knight g7. So... Is queen g4 the main move here? I'm used to playing against c5, in which I have a line, because most people play c5 here. So with knight to e7, I know queen g4 is thematic here, and we can do the poison pawn variation. That's going to put me... It's a wild game, and it'd be new to the channel. What are the other options? Bishop g5, a3... Maybe bishop d2 is an option here. f4, knight f3, bishop d3. Bishop d3 sort of invites c5. All right, let's try to learn something. Well, Trandism is probably well prepared for queen g4 if that's the main line. Bishop g5. I'm going to go for bishop d2. This is my line against c5. Now if black wants to trade bishop for knight, I can recapture with the bishop, although I think it's still best to go b takes. You give yourself an open b file. c3 is already protected by the bishop, and you're ready to push c4 and maybe expand in the center. You've got big control of the center. d4 is really strong. Okay, knight comes to f5. Okay, he's hitting d4 here. I like knight f3. And then we can play g4, and the knight has to go back. So yeah, we're just covering d4 a second time. I might be playing somewhat inferior moves here, but I've probably gotten black out of their book. And that's important. And queen g4 might be the best move. In those lines, the queen ends up gobbling both of these pawns, and the rook comes to f8. The black king is pretty safe in the center, and my king ends up getting stuck in the center too. There's c5. Now I think g4 or a3 are the options here. G4 allows just knight takes here. So I think a3 is better. And if he backs off, then maybe I go knight b5. Maybe knight b5 immediately was worthy of considering. The idea with knight b5 is that we're going to jump in here with a check. But the problem is this knight on g4, on g5, f5 is already covering that. The nice thing about knight b5 though is it does guard d4 in the meantime. But maybe, let's see here, bishop a5, knight b5. Okay. All right, so we've got an option to just chop the bishop here, get the bishop pair for some, oh, and the rook and the open a file rook. So taking the bishop, The alternative is probably knight b5. And then if bishop takes, take, and we can grab on b5. I'm going to take this bishop. And I will be recapturing, well, can I recapture with the bishop here? Or is it better to recapture with a pawn? I'll leave kind of a weak pawn structure. But after knight c6, we can push b, let's see, bishop takes, knight c6 makes sense. We could pin. We can pin, and because our rook covers this a file, let's take with the pawn. It seems more thematic. Queen c7 makes sense here, or knight c6. But I always have b5 to kind of screw with that knight. Maybe b5 would be better after. Okay, maybe b5 right now. I guess knight d7 hits this pawn just as well. I could go for knight d4 since he hasn't put any pressure on my center. Knight d4, yeah, that looks quite good. It solves a lot of problems for me. And it threatens to double black's pawns, isolate that d pawn by trading on f5. There's also g4. This knight can come back here. I like knight d4 better. And now we can just take a knight on c6 at some point. And this allows us to play f4, solidify that e pawn in the center. So we've got the center, we've got the two bishops, we've got an open rook. Okay, this looks good. Well, we are down a couple minutes on time. It's okay. I'm not sure I will take on f5 actually. If he goes knight c6, I might just play f4. Oh no, he's got too much pressure on d4 now. So I should take. And then f4. I also have bishop. No, that doesn't work because of g5. So let's make that center solid, and then we can play b5 next turn. And a6 can't prevent it, actually. c4 is another idea. f6 makes sense. But I think b4, and I think white looks pretty comfortable. Sorry, b5. Knight can go to a5, but then queen has to watch it. Anytime white can take over the queen side in the French, it's trouble for black. Or even if white can just stop black's queenside counterplay, often all the counterplay black has is on the queen side in the French. But thanks to my open A file and my advanced pawns, yeah, I've got control of most of the board here. Where's my bishop belong? Do I have anything else? Bishop e3 actually threatens to win a pawn, but I feel like I should finish my development before I consider that kind of thing. Maybe I should take on f6. I'll have an isolated pawn otherwise, unless I go queen e2. Well, his d5 pawn has plenty of protection for the moment. Is his rook going to be awkward on f6? Something to hope for, maybe. I just don't want e5 as a weakness. We've already forced his knight back. So black is a little bit discombobulated here. This bishop probably belongs on f3, doesn't it? So bishop e2. Okay, he could go queen to b3. In which case castling is going to be tough. Sorry, b6, queen to b6. And then I need to figure out a way to either castle or just put up with my king being in the center. Doesn't sound like much fun. I guess queen c1. Yeah, queen c1, and then I can play bishop e3. But probably rook e6 is coming then. Bishop c1, and I've got queen d5. I could just go rook f1 and say, what are you going to do, get my king? Your pieces are terrible. But the rook e6 is coming, and then I want my king to be on f1 maybe. C4 is an idea. All right, I still like this idea. And if he goes rook here, I can just slide my king to d1. The king is in the center. But he's got lots of company. And that helps. That counts for something. Yeah, king f1. Now c4 is an idea. So bishop d7 is probably the move. And then c4 seems to have pretty good effect here. If you can't take, because then I play bishop takes c4. So I mean, this is one idea, bishop d7, c4, and if he takes, I take with a pin on the rook. I guess he's got queen f2 here. I hadn't considered that. Problematic. Queen f2, I've got bishop f3. holds things together. Oh, sorry, he did go bishop b7. Okay. I'm not convinced about this. Because he's got queen d4. Doesn't he? Let's do it. I mean, running low on time. I'd like to get rook e1 in. Play with all my pieces. Yeah, just getting this rook ready seems good. Okay, I still have bishop f3 here. If he wants to take on c4, I think I'm okay with that. My bishop is quite a monster. Okay, we're going to challenge that rook. That's his best piece, other than his queen. His queen looks much better than my queen, doesn't it? Okay, now we're hitting his queen. He goes with the check. And, oh, we can't trade queens here. We just go king here. That doesn't look good either, does it? We can't put a piece in front because of c3. We can't take with the queen because the rook takes here, so I've got to play king e2. And then if bishop takes, maybe we've got c3. Now down a pawn, but I got those two bishops. My king is definitely not safer, but we're fighting. I'll need to study the Winawer French if I'm going to play knight c3. I need to figure out what went wrong here, so we'll be doing some analysis after the game. Okay, c3. So his bishop is a little worse this way. And actually I can get this pawn if I want it. Okay. That's okay, our king is getting further to safety. Yeah, I'm down 2 pawns here, but I'm really only down 1 pawn because I'll get one of these back, it looks like. I got ideas like queen to b2 and then coming in with rook d1. My bishops look well, my light square bishop looks great, and I think there's a future for my dark square bishop. I suppose he can go bishop c6 and just challenge my dark square bishop right here. That holds on to his pawns. I really don't want to trade those bishops, but it doesn't look like I have a choice. Let's go with queen to b2. We'll have to double these pawns. The idea is we're still hitting these b pawns after trades here. Covering the second rank, so maybe we can move our king, get our dark square bishop out. Ooh, down to 10 seconds. All right, snap judgments time. Got my 4-game win streak. Be a desperate task to hold on to that now. F4 pawn is kind of loose here. Maybe trading bishops on c6 wasn't so bad. If knight takes, his knight is pretty hemmed in by my pawns. If I had pre-moves on, I could pre-move that. It's a likely move. Bishop takes f3. Oh. He's hitting that pawn. Let's just take the knight. We've got opposite color bishops. This may be horrible for us. It may be not so bad. Probably rook d1 was the best play there. But we're low on time. Let's trade queens since we are so low. And the opposite color bishops might help. He doesn't have to trade, though. If queen e4, I go king g1, and the game continues. Yeah, rook d1. I saw that earlier, but then when I saw knight d5, I kind of panicked. Okay. Let's take those queens off. It's got the 2-pawn lead here. But I've got this position simplified a lot, and that helps a lot in terms of time. I'm looking at king d1, blockading with my king. All my pawns are on light squares. Let's do that blockade. Maybe I could have played f5 there. Gotten rid of some pawns. I can plant my bishop on either of these outposts and stuff whatever file black puts his rook on. I could also try to block that. So we can't play b5 right now. He's got his king guarding that pawn now. One idea is just to shuffle my bishop back and forth here. Let's do that idea. He can't get his king in here. He can maybe get a rook, but if I keep controlling this square, it should be fine. Just need to find a place to. Maybe I can deliver some rook checks here. At least posing some problems for black to solve. Let's get going with the checks. If he goes king d5, I've got rook a1. King a5, I'll just go back. Or maybe I'll set up a discovery. That looks nice. Okay. He'll probably need to go king back. Oh, okay. Oh, I think I win a piece here. Take, check, take, check. He moves. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Let's try this. This might repeat though, and I will take a repetition right here. Unless he's going to give up the a-pawn. Okay. Now if we trade the rooks, I think this should be drawing. Let's go after his pawns. I don't see what this does for him. Okay, he doesn't have any checks. I don't see him threatening anything here, so I'm going to get his pawn with check. Now I'm defending my pawn. I'm ready to push this a-pawn, actually. Yeah, we're the one with the initiative here. Probably want to come back. Let's go. I think we got a draw. Oh boy. G4 is the idea. Need to be careful where I step. We'll just take that. What's the best way to go for a draw here? Probably bring the king in. Hold on to our pawn. Keep the king next to the pawn. Ooh. Okay. I don't know. Don't know. I can just shuffle back and forth with my rook, right? Where's he going with that king? Even if I lose the pawn, this is a notoriously hard ending for black to win. So we might be in for the long haul here. Okay. He wants to get his king in front of the pawn. I've got lots of checks. I'm ready to check. Let's go for it. Maybe we can, yeah, we'll just bring the pawn up. If he wants to trade rooks, I'd be happy to oblige. Okay. We survived. Ooh, good game. Good game, Trandism. Strong endgame play is really important. So let's look at it. Got the adrenaline going on here. Those endings in a time scramble. All right. Opening book. After knight G to E7. After knight to E7. Analysis board says. Opening book says. Survey says. Come on. A3 is the main move still. I suppose that's the mainline Winawer. Bishop D2 is also an important sideline. And Queen G4. But black does really well with Queen G4. So let's look. Bishop D2. Let's look at the game line. This has a really long name. It's just the advanced variation of the Winawer. Okay. Because I advanced the E5 pawn. Knight F5. Not the main move. Yeah, Knight F3. White looks good here. C5. D takes C5. Well, that makes sense. I could have gone D takes C5. And then bishop takes C5. So we've made black move that piece twice. We get bishop to D3. We're going to chop that knight. Looks good. Looks okay. The thing about the French is you can't ask for too much. It's better than a lot of people realize. And if you get too ambitious in terms of holding your center and having an attack, it's not the best. If you a lot of times you need to sacrifice a pawn. You can have a vicious attack against the French. But black has lots of resources. I used to play the French. Not the Winawer, though. I play the classical with knight f6 here instead of bishop b4. Main move is a3. Just to look at a little bit of Winawer theory. Bishop takes c3. The main move. If he goes back to a5, then we can just push black around on the queen side. Yeah, b4. And then bishop back here, and knight to a4 even, just to get rid of that bishop, which is black's good bishop. That looks really good for white. The computer gives it a whole pawn advantage. So he's got to take after a3. a3 is pretty forcing. And he gets what he wants. We spend a tempo on a3. And now see, we got this weird pawn formation here. But still, we got control of the center, and that's more important than this pawn structure. We also can have an open b file if we want it. We have to watch over c3. Yeah, so c5. Yeah, this is a lot, like 2,000 games in this position. Now queen g4. Maybe this is the poison pawn variation. Queen g4 immediately might be a little premature. Bishop d3, and probably c4? c4? Shuts things down. Yeah, so it goes on from here. What I want to do is go back to after knight e7. Now look at queen g4. The idea is if castles, then bishop h6, but that's not even the great idea because knight g6 holds on to everything, and then the bishop just has to move again. So that's not a very good idea. But queen g4, c5 is the main move for black. D takes c5. Bishop has to take c5 because we're hitting. The bishop could take on c3, but it needs to do something. Well, knight can come to c6. Okay. Bishop d2. Castles. And we maybe get f4 in, or just castle long. Let's say you can take. No, he can't take here because the bishop hangs, and if we take there, bishop takes, and he's guarding that pawn. Maybe, yeah. Okay, well, that's also a line. Works out well for black, though. I think I'll stick with bishop d2, and just remember, I guess b6 is the main move for black here. Trying to get rid of this bad bishop. I've seen that quite a bit, that idea in the French. Yeah, just bishop d3 here, or knight f3. I had a good position. Where did I go wrong? A takes b4. It really likes white. Bishop takes c3 is better. Okay, bishop takes c3 is better. And I think the reason is he can't go knight to c6 because now the knight is pretty bad here. He's got to bring this knight to e7. Yeah, we can go g4 and kick this knight around. And now just maybe h3. Queen d4 also works, but probably h3 is good too. And look at these knights for black. This square is one they both want, and it's off limits. Yeah, this knight here is doing nothing. Queen d4 is probably better. Same story. Centralizing the queen. Yeah. White's pawns look a little loose here. I haven't played g4, but it's more about the piece activity. And black has this perpetually bad bishop. So yeah, it's not too different from the game. I still have an advantage. But knight d4, I was really excited about this move. That kind of lost it. Bishop d3, just get your rest of your pieces out. So moving the same piece twice in the opening, as usual, not a good move here unless you need to move it. Bishop d3 would have. Oops, what did I do here? Bishop d3. And we're willing to give up a light square bishop as our best piece, but then again, that knight is black's best piece. The computer might not be willing to give it up. But the point is, we'll probably trade these other knights off at some point. Or this bishop for this knight is awfully easy to trade off. And I've played many a French ending with this bishop. And oftentimes it's just a minor piece ending with just the white square bishop for black and the knight for white. And that knight just completely dominates in these French positions. So, pro tip, good way to defeat the French is in endings. Okay, so knight d4 kind of ruined my advantage. It likes knight takes c6 better. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense because positionally, I didn't consider this. Now white can't attack this weakness very well. And his bishop is still going to be bad. We got time to move our bishop out. Yeah, queen c7 and then f4. Oh, queen e2. We don't need to commit our f-pawn. And we can get castled behind that f-pawn. That's one thing that didn't happen in the game. So I took the other knight. E takes f5. Bishop d3. Bishop d3 was recommended, just giving up the e-pawn. So you got to be willing to sacrifice pawns here. Bishop d3, and then what about knight takes? Ooh, it likes black here. Castle long, and black can get this bishop. We fix our pawns. Black has an extra pawn, though. Our bishop is opposite colors, so that doesn't matter as much. And his majority, you know, he doesn't have a majority. He has a majority on the king side, but it's a doubled majority, so that's a weaker kind of advantage. So, okay, we better get through the rest of the game. This is going a little bit long. B5, I didn't like B5 too much. Knight to e7, I like knight to a5 probably. The knight can come to c4 then. Bishop to e2, not the best. There's just a lot of little inaccuracies here, but I still got an advantage. Things really go south after queen c1, so I had a hard time finding a good move here. Computer suggests queen to b1. It also suggests c4. Well, that's what I played the next move. In a couple of moves. Ooh, c4, it does not like it here. Rook c8. Yeah, black doesn't need to do anything about this immediately. Ooh, it's a really big advantage for black. Rook d8. King e2. Bishop takes b5. Queen d3 check. Yeah, it really doesn't like my position. Rook a2 is what's suggested. Well, it's a similar idea, getting a piece to the second rank. Blunder. So I got the opposite color bishops, got to an ending, and this really should be won by white. But I was able to build this dark square blockade. And able to win one of those pawns. And yeah, at this point, yeah, it's a drawn game. This repetition here. Sorry, getting to this point. Okay, so this doesn't work critically because I think I have an intermediate check, and then the next move I can win black's rook. Problem is, he can come here, protecting the rook, and he's got to be just completely winning here. Yeah. So I went for this instead. He has to protect the rook. So I'll go back here. Nah, just take a4. He's got a very slight advantage now, but with these opposite color bishops, really tough to win. I probably should have gone for some rook trades. It really still likes black here, despite me having an extra pawn. And there's a lot of inaccuracies here in time trouble. This is a nice play. Takes d2, h6. Okay. g4 here. maybe it doesn't matter too much. G4, rook check. Yeah. Now we have a draw. Because I have this extra pawn, it should be easy to draw. But even, like I said, even if there's no extra pawn, if black just has an extra bishop, it's difficult to win, and often you can't even force it. But there's this whole slew of endgame theory about it, actually. So, all right, a rich game there. Lots of good stuff. Before the video goes too long, I'm going to sign off. Stay feisty, everyone. Take care.